Whether you can believe it or not, we're already over 100 days into the 9th generation. 4 months since the PS5 and Series consoles hit our shelves, let's recap what worked and what didn't for all things relating to the PlayStation 5. Now, we will have a Series X version of this live very soon, but for now, I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and this is the PS5, 4 ups and 4 downs after 4 months. First up, an honourable mention: stock unavailability. An issue stemming from a variety of factors, including record-setting demand and a global semiconductor shortage, many have spent the last few months simply trying to get a PS5 or Series console at all. Sadly, it doesn't seem like this will meaningfully change across 2021, but at least we all have an excuse to play through our collective backlogs in the meantime. Onto the main list then, and the ups. Number 4, multiple exclusives. Make no bones about it, the PS5 is the only high-end system on the market with a slew of exclusives. Where on the Xbox side, Bloober Team's awesome The Medium dropped in January, Sony launched with Demon's Souls, Godfall and Astro's Playroom, following up with Destruction All-Stars in February. This came after Spider-Man Miles Morales and the remastered Spider-Man were touched up on PS5 too, showcasing under a second load times for the entire open world, gorgeous ray-traced reflections and chunky haptic feedback. Sony are set to drop Ratchet & Clank and Returnal as 2 more PS5 exclusive titles, with Horizon Forbidden West and Kena Bridge of Spirits both being cross-compatible before the year's out. Whether God of War rounds things out to compete with Halo Infinite, well, that would be icing on the cake. Number 3, DualSense really is Sony's best controller. Speaking of haptic feedback, though very few games go all out with the sheer amount of things the DualSense can do, it can feel pretty insane when a developer really knows what they're doing. Astro's Playroom is an obvious easy play thanks to being built into every system, but Codemasters went above and beyond for the mighty Dirt 5. Remedy's work on Control also stands out, likewise with Bungie on Destiny 2 and Treyarch for Call of Duty Black Ops. Even masterful puzzle platformer The Pedestrian sees switches and on-screen elements satisfyingly click into place as you move around. Gaming with the DualSense is one of those sensations, even when it's not necessarily showing off, that you don't realize you've begun taking for granted until you switch to a different system. Its pressurized triggers can get in the way of high-level Call of Duty firefights, but backing up a racing game or adding to the movement of a platformer is really awesome. Number 2, activity cards do meaningfully change how you game. Before the PS5, I didn't really care about actively chasing trophies. Blame it on how it felt like Sony chasing the achievement boom of the late 2000s, or how the PS4 always forced a server sync whenever you wanted to check progress per game. With the PS5 though, trophy tracking and activity cards are front and center every time you hit the PlayStation button. The latter is the name given to every feature that can pop up on a card, from letting you boot straight into a multiplayer match to resuming an offline challenge that you maybe couldn't nail the week before. Trophy completion is also right here, showing that maybe you just need to use a specific weapon 3 more times for another bronze, so why not? Integrated properly, these start to transform the very way you approach a library of games. Hopping between single-player Spider-Man and multiplayer Mortal Kombat using the cards is a breeze, and Astro letting you know a friend has beaten your time trial feels genuinely encouraging. Developers like Remedy have included step-by-step help for Control's tougher challenges, and you can double-tap the PlayStation button to change songs on Spotify or revisit your most recent card too. There's a ways to go making sure people know just how much accessibility is available at their fingertips, but we're definitely getting there. Number 1, SSD and UI makes everything so smooth. A wider point for the system's 4K HDR menus, and something you really notice when going back to the PlayStation 4, is just how liquid smooth the entire PS5 experience is. As mentioned, we're yet to see what this thing can really do, but there's a lot to be thankful for right now. From boot up to gameplay in seconds, switching between multiple games, flicking through the revamped PlayStation Store, using the companion app to trigger downloads, or browsing activity cards for trophies or a quick game of multiplayer, it all comes together in a way both Nintendo and Xbox are nowhere near. Sony clearly prioritized the user experience in a way they've largely fallen down on across the last 2 generations, and it's great to see. Unlike the Xbox or Switch, the system UI isn't just something you put up with in between the games. And now, the downs. Number 4, cross-gen releases devalue the console. Onto the negatives, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion to get out there, but seeing Sony's messaging being so all over the place in regards to cross-gen releases has been super disheartening. Point being, we don't buy new consoles just to realize we would have mostly been fine beforehand. 2020 was a year of Sony saying they believe in generations, only to see Xbox's push for cross-generation everything and immediately give Miles Morales, Sackboy, Horizon Forbidden West, and Kena Bridge of Spirits PS4 cross-gen releases. At time of recording, that's by far the reigning assumption about God of War Ragnarok 2, which is honestly a little disappointing. I can't be the only person wanting to see what Sony Santa Monica do when allowed to take full advantage of new hardware without worrying about downgrades further down the line. A recent interview with Remedy's Thomas Pure outlined that developing across multiple generations of consoles, in his words, sucks, and teams are literally held back by the weakest system still in active rotation. Cyberpunk 2077 also showed that developing for so many SKUs at once can be a nightmare, and sooner rather than later, Sony do need to make a confident step towards the future. Brass tacks honesty, none of us spent £500,000 for the next generation, only to play PS4 games at 4K 60. Number 3. Hardware faults across the board. Possibly relating to a slew of reports across 2020 that Sony was struggling to meet demand even before launch, the PS5 has been susceptible to many hardware issues since, where almost every user has experienced one of the following. Number 4, an insanely loud lawnmower-esque disk drive, requiring removal of the fascia plate and the disk drive to be reconfigured. Even after this, some PS5s continue to spin up the disk at random intervals, even if you're not playing the game or are just watching a movie. Number 3, the please wait bug, where the console hangs for a good 10 seconds on every startup, the only solution being a full factory reset. Number 2, an unresponsive console that randomly dies during rest mode, meaning you have to hold the power button for an extended period of time and then hope it comes back to life. And number 1, disconnecting controllers, requiring a USB connection to repair with the console as if you just took it out the box. All of those are just the tip of the iceberg. I'm literally speaking from personal experience for all 4, and yes, we can file a lot of these qualms under the launch day tech rug, but it doesn't excuse the fact we're still paying a premium price for a product that oftentimes just doesn't feel reliable. Number 2, backwards compatibility, awkward upgrade problems, and save/trophy migration. Endemic of just how much Sony didn't plan for a 2021 comprised of older titles being upgraded, or a push towards embracing the past like Xbox is with Game Pass, even at launch the PS5's UI had people not knowing if they were playing the PlayStation 4 version of a game on their new systems. Sony patched in a tiny 3-dot menu to make sure you're playing the PS5 version, but that hasn't got around the fact that they didn't code an alternative to Xbox's masterful smart delivery tech. Rather than have save progress migrate over automatically or trophy progress get recognized through our profiles, it's been down to each individual developer to craft a manual per game cloud save that you can then retrieve once you've got the new version. The Avengers, Crash 4, Mortal Kombat 11, Spider-Man each then trigger all your already acquired trophies at once, duplicating them in your feed. Even then, as is the case with the Avengers and Crash, some users are still missing random trophies or entire save files. Worse still is with older games, where you can play the likes of Dead to Rights or Full Spectrum Warrior in automatic 4K HDR at up to 120 frames per second on Xbox. Sony's response to accessing PS2 era titles is that you may encounter some problems. Most notably from my own experience is The Warriors and Ape Escape 2, which despite selling for real money on the PlayStation Store right now, are barely functioning. With entire levels, characters, UI elements, and everything in between flickering in and out at random, it's a complete joke that these still have a price tag and an issue largely unaddressed. And number 1, it feels like Sony are in reaction mode. After Sony once let PS2 sales numbers go to their head, saying we'd want to work 2 jobs to pay for the PlayStation 3, they've very much been a reactive company since. Achievements take off? Cool, we'll do trophies. Xbox Live Arcade's a thing? Cool, we've got PlayStation Minis for a bit. Virtual reality finally a thing? Awesome, here's the PlayStation VR, but we're gonna use some leftover PlayStation Move controllers for now. Cut to 2021 and you're seeing a company largely reacting in real time to what has always been a careful, calculated play by Xbox, nailing all the areas where Sony were lagging behind. Xbox tout backwards compatibility, Sony make a handful of titles cross-compatible. Xbox soar with Game Pass, Sony revisit their play-at-home initiative from last April, attempting to counter Xbox's landmark March offering with a slew of freebies. Sony straight up need to stop with the blog post reveals for things like PSVR 2's controllers, lead with why you need to stick with PlayStation, and restore confidence around titles like God of War 2 or whatever Naughty Dog or Hideo Kojima are going to be doing next. Xbox are clearly content waiting 2021 out, already seeing record Game Pass subscriber numbers. If all those third-party deals continue to go to Xbox and the terrain shifts towards monthly payment models and less towards exclusives across the entire generation, it'll be far harder for PlayStation to keep up. Sheer value for money states the Series X is better bang for your buck. Sony's reputation and love of first-party exclusives certainly gives them the edge, but many months in, their overall business plan feels notably scattered. At least that's what I think after living with the system for the last few months. Let me know your own ups and downs for the PlayStation 5 down in the comments below, and please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.